Imagine you build something from nothing. A company started in a 2-bedroom Bengaluru apartment with 4 lakh rupees of borrowed capital and 0 investors. You grow it into India's most valuable startup. And then, a $1 trillion American company shows up, copies your playbook, and tries to bury you alive. This is not fiction. This happened. And the story of how Flipkart survived, fought back, and ultimately sold for $16 billion is one of the greatest business battles ever fought on Indian soil. Stay with me. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into the most expensive corporate war in Indian startup history, Flipkart versus Amazon India. We'll cover the origin stories, the funding battles, the dirty tactics, the regulatory twists, and the billion-dollar endgame. Let's get into it. It's 2007. Sachin Bansal and Binny Bansal, no relation, are both ex-Amazon employees. They quit their jobs, pool 4 lakh rupees, and launch Flipkart.com from a small apartment in Koramangala, Bengaluru. Their first product? Books. The first order? A book called Leaving Microsoft to Change the World, which, in hindsight, is remarkably poetic. In a country where e-commerce barely existed and credit card penetration was under 5%, they were betting on a future most people couldn't see yet. Here's what most people miss about Flipkart's early genius. They didn't just build a website, they reimagined e-commerce for India. Cash on delivery, COD, was their masterstroke. At a time when most Indians didn't trust putting card details online, Flipkart said, "Pay when the package arrives." This one feature unlocked hundreds of millions of potential customers overnight. It was hyper-local thinking that no global player had done, and it forced every competitor, including Amazon, to copy it years later. Flipkart's growth attracted serious capital fast. In 2009, Axel Partners invested $1 million, Flipkart's first institutional check. By 2012, Tiger Global had become the dominant investor, pouring in round after round. By 2014, Flipkart had raised over $1.7 billion across multiple rounds and was valued at $7 billion. It had acquired Myntra, the fashion platform, for $300 million. It launched eCart, its own logistics arm. And it was on the verge of becoming something India had never seen, a genuine tech unicorn built entirely for and by Indians. In June 2013, Amazon.in goes live. Jeff Bezos doesn't just dip a toe in, he announces a $2 billion commitment to India within the first year. 2 years later, that becomes $5 billion. By 2016, it's $6.5 billion. This is a scorched-earth capital strategy. Amazon wasn't entering India to be number 2. Bezos famously said India reminded him of early-stage America. He wanted to win, and he was prepared to bleed for years to do it. What followed was a relentless game of copy and counter. Flipkart launched Big Billion Days, India's answer to Prime Day, in October 2014. The first edition crashed their servers and caused a PR disaster, but the idea was brilliant. Amazon responded with the Great Indian Sale. Flipkart went app-only with Myntra to cut costs and focus mobile. Amazon doubled down on its mobile app. Flipkart acquired PhonePe to enter payments. Amazon launched Amazon Pay. Every move had a countermove. Every rupee of market share was fought for inch by inch. Here's where the story gets uncomfortable. By 2015, Flipkart was valued at $15 billion, the highest ever for an Indian startup. But behind the scenes, global mutual funds that had invested in Flipkart, Morgan Stanley, T. Rowe Price, Fidelity, started marking down the value of their holdings. By mid-2016, some estimated the real value had fallen to as low as $5.5 billion. Why? Because profitability was nowhere in sight. Cash burn was enormous. And Amazon was catching up fast. Flipkart was in a race where the finish line kept moving. Between 2016 and 2018, Flipkart went through a turbulent leadership churn. Sachin Bansal stepped down as CEO in 2016. Binny Bansal took over. Then Kalyan Krishnamurthy, a Tiger Global operating partner, came in as CEO in 2017, with a mandate to stabilize and refocus. The instability at the top was a sign of deeper tensions between founders and investors, between growth and governance, between ambition and sustainability. In startup culture, leadership churn of this scale is almost always a red flag. India's foreign direct investment rules in e-commerce became a critical battleground. The government prohibited foreign-owned companies from holding inventory and selling directly to consumers, the inventory model. Both Flipkart and Amazon had to operate as marketplace platforms, connecting third-party sellers with buyers. But both companies found creative workarounds through preferred sellers, deep discounting via subsidiaries, and exclusive brand partnerships. This gray area led to intense lobbying, CAIT protests from traditional retailers, and eventually tighter FDI rules in 2019, ironically after the Walmart deal had already closed. By 2017, Flipkart needed a new anchor investor, someone with deep pockets, strategic patience, and no interest in running the company day-to-day. Enter Walmart. The world's largest brick-and-mortar retailer had failed spectacularly in e-commerce outside the US, losing in Germany, struggling in Brazil, watching Alibaba dominate China. India was its last major bet. Walmart needed Flipkart as much as Flipkart needed Walmart. In May 2018, Walmart announced the acquisition of a 77% stake in Flipkart for $16 billion, the largest e-commerce acquisition ever at the time. It valued Flipkart at approximately $20.8 billion. Sachin Bansal exited completely, walking away with roughly $1 billion. Binny Bansal retained a small stake. SoftBank, which had invested $2.5 billion just a year earlier, made $1.5 billion in profit. Naspers, Tiger Global, Excel, all exited with massive returns. For Indian startup history, this was a landmark moment. Amazon did not go quietly. Reports emerged that Amazon had approached Flipkart's board with a competing offer, and had even explored a merger between the two companies. The CCI, India's competition regulator, reviewed the Walmart deal carefully. Amazon also challenged aspects of the deal in court, but ultimately Walmart prevailed. Bezos, who had promised to win India, now faced a Flipkart that had Walmart's entire global supply chain, capital base, and institutional muscle behind it. The war had entered a new phase. Post-acquisition, Flipkart didn't slow down. Under Kalyan Krishnamurthy, it doubled down on fashion through Myntra, grocery through Flipkart Grocery, and fintech through PhonePe. PhonePe eventually became a separate entity and was last valued at $12 billion, nearly a unicorn carved out of a unicorn. As of 2024, Flipkart holds approximately 48% of India's e-commerce GMV, compared to Amazon India's 26%. The Indian company, now backed by an American retail giant, is still winning on home turf. Amazon India has lost the GMV race, but it's playing a very different game. Amazon Web Services is the cloud backbone of half of India's startups. Prime Video is among the top OTT platforms in the country. Amazon Pay processes millions of UPI transactions daily. The strategy has evolved from beat Flipkart at e-commerce to embed Amazon into every layer of India's digital economy. In that sense, Amazon may be losing the battle for shopping carts while winning the battle for the broader digital infrastructure. Neither company is profitable in India yet. Flipkart reported revenues of approximately 57,000 crore rupees in FY 2023, but continues to post losses as it invests in logistics, technology, and seller ecosystems. Amazon India similarly runs at a loss by design. Both are in a long-duration capital deployment game, betting that India's e-commerce market, expected to hit $200 billion by 2030, will reward patience. The investor with the longest time horizon and deepest pockets ultimately wins, and both Walmart and Amazon have both. One of the most underappreciated aspects of the Flipkart story is PhonePe. Acquired in 2016 for a modest sum, PhonePe became one of India's top 2 UPI apps, processing over 5 billion transactions a month. In 2023, PhonePe was demerged from Flipkart and raised $650 million at a $12 billion valuation. For context, Walmart paid $16 billion for all of Flipkart in 2018, and PhonePe alone is now valued at $12 billion. That single acquisition may have been the shrewdest deal in Indian startup history. Flipkart's success wasn't luck. It was hyper-contextual product thinking. First, cash on delivery unlocked 400 million non-card users. Second, Flipkart was among the first to build in Indian regional languages, understanding that the next 300 million users wouldn't speak English. Third, building Flipkart, their own logistics arm, gave them supply chain control that Amazon had to replicate at enormous cost. These weren't features borrowed from Silicon Valley. They were Indian innovations for an Indian market. Flipkart also made costly mistakes. The 2015 Big Billion Day website crash was a public relations disaster that destroyed consumer trust temporarily. The leadership merry-go-round between 2016 and 2018 created strategic confusion. And the company spent years chasing GMV, gross merchandise value, as its North Star metric, rather than unit economics. When investors started demanding a path to profitability, Flipkart had few answers. The valuation markdowns that followed were painful reminders that GMV without margins is just an expensive illusion. The Flipkart-Amazon war was never just about who sells more smartphones online. It was a battle for India's consumer data, digital payment rails, cloud infrastructure, and logistics networks. Whoever wins Indian e-commerce gets a front-row seat to the consumption story of 1.4 billion people, a story that is just getting started. Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, which contribute over 60% of new e-commerce users today, are still largely untapped. The next decade of this war will be fought in Patna, Indore, and Coimbatore, not just Mumbai and Delhi. Let's take a step back and look at the full arc. From a 2-bedroom apartment in 2007 to a $16 billion acquisition in 2018. From near collapse in 2016 to market leadership in 2024. The Flipkart story is a masterclass in resilience, reinvention, and knowing when to take the exit and when to keep fighting. The first lesson from this case study: global playbooks don't automatically work in India. Amazon had succeeded everywhere in the world by deploying the same model. In India, it had to fundamentally adapt, adding COD, vernacular support, and Kirana partnerships. Flipkart understood the Indian consumer from day one. That local knowledge was its greatest competitive moat. The second lesson: raising and deploying capital aggressively can win market share, but it can also destroy a business if the unit economics are broken. Both Flipkart and Amazon India burned billions. The question is always, are you buying durable customers, or just discounting your way to temporary transactions? The companies that survive the capital war are the ones who convert scale into sustainable margins. That's still an unfinished chapter for both players. The third lesson, and this is important for Indian startup culture, is that selling your company is not a sign of failure. Sachin Bansal's $1 billion exit created generational wealth, funded dozens of other Indian startups through his subsequent investments, and gave Flipkart the stability it needed to survive. The stigma around exits in Indian startup culture is slowly lifting. The Flipkart story helped change that narrative permanently. As of 2024, Flipkart remains India's largest e-commerce platform by GMV. Walmart has been exploring a Flipkart IPO on Indian and US exchanges, a listing that could value the company at $35 to $40 billion or more. PhonePe is on its own IPO track. Amazon India continues to invest aggressively, with a particular focus on AWS growth, Prime subscription expansion, and rural distribution. The war is ongoing, but Flipkart, the underdog that almost didn't survive, is still standing. For investors watching this space, 3 things matter. First, Flipkart's IPO, when it comes, will be one of the most closely watched listings in Indian market history. Second, PhonePe's IPO could be even more significant from a fintech valuation standpoint. Third, Amazon's AWS India revenues are growing at 30% plus annually, and that cloud business, not the e-commerce front, may be where Amazon ultimately generates returns from India. Watch all 3 simultaneously. What Flipkart and Amazon are really building in India are platform ecosystems, not just shopping apps. Whoever controls the seller relationships, the payment data, the logistics network, and the cloud infrastructure controls the rails of India's digital economy for the next generation. This is why both companies are willing to lose money for years. The prize isn't today's profit. It's tomorrow's monopoly on digital commerce infrastructure. Here are 5 things most people don't know about this story. 1. Flipkart's first delivery was made by Sachin Bansal himself, on a bicycle. 2. Jeff Bezos flew to India in 2014 and posed with a giant check for $2 billion, an image that became iconic. 3. Flipkart once shut down its entire website and went app-only for Myntra, a decision later reversed. 4. Binny Bansal exited Flipkart in 2018 following a personal misconduct investigation, denying all allegations. 5. PhonePe, spun out of Flipkart, now processes more UPI transactions than Google Pay. Behind the funding rounds and acquisition headlines are hundreds of thousands of people. Flipkart employs over 30,000 people directly and supports millions more through its seller and logistics ecosystem. It built some of India's finest engineering and product talent, many of whom went on to found their own startups, creating a Flipkart mafia not unlike PayPal's in Silicon Valley. The company didn't just build a business. It built an ecosystem of Indian tech talent that continues to compound. The Flipkart versus Amazon story is ultimately about the audacity to compete. 2 guys in a Bengaluru apartment decided to take on the global retail machine, and for over a decade, they held their own. They made mistakes. They almost collapsed. They sold. And yet, the company they built is still the market leader. That's not a failure story. That's not even just a success story. It's a lesson in what Indian entrepreneurship is capable of when it is properly resourced, deeply local, and stubbornly resilient. 3 things to remember from today's video. 1. Local insight beats global capital, at least in the short run. 2. GMV is vanity. Unit economics is sanity. Build for margins, not just market share. 3. The best exits create new beginnings for founders, employees, and the ecosystem around them. One more thing to watch. ONDC, the Open Network for Digital Commerce, is India's government-backed attempt to democratize e-commerce and reduce the dominance of platforms like Flipkart and Amazon. Think of it as a UPI moment for online shopping. If ONDC scales, and early signs suggest it might, it could fundamentally disrupt the duopoly all over again. The war for Indian e-commerce is far from over. In fact, it may be just getting interesting. That's a wrap on today's deep dive. If you found this valuable, please like this video and subscribe. It genuinely helps the channel grow. And I want to hear from you. Drop a comment below. Who do you think wins India's e-commerce war by 2030? Flipkart backed by Walmart, Amazon backed by Bezos, or the wildcard ONDC? Let's debate in the comments. See you in the next one.